Welcome to Sports Update with Kate. I am your host, Kate Adams, and we have former LSU running back 2003 National Championship MVP, former Steeler, quick thing with the Falcons, and Justin Vincent. Welcome to the show. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having me.
All right, Justin, I know that you played with the Steelers, but I do want to talk a little bit about the Saints. Right now, the Saints are #1 in the power rankings for the second week in the row. Just slaughtered the Cincinnati Bengals this past weekend on the road. What are your thoughts on the Saints so far this season?
Obviously, they're doing actually really well, but I'm just glad they stopped playing from behind and actually started taking the lead. You can obviously see what Drew Brees has been able to do, and in my humble opinion, he's probably going to go down as the best of all time. A lot of Hall of Famers don't have Super Bowls, multiple Super Bowls, but Drew at least has one under his belt. And I think if the Saints keep playing the way they're playing this year, they'll definitely have the opportunity to be able to vie for a world championship.
Look, I think so too, and I know a lot of Louisianians are really hoping that this is the year that they could possibly be a Super Bowl contender. Look, Drew Brees, 22 of 25 for 265 yards, 3 touchdowns in the Cincinnati game, but they did just sign Dez Bryant, but 2 days into practice, he tore his Achilles. Do you even have any thoughts on that? And do you know anything about Dez? Have you ever met him?
I actually met Dez back in 2008. He came on a visit to the Steelers. I actually sat down and had lunch with him, but that was the extent of our kind of relationship. But having signed with a team and sitting out the whole season, almost hold the whole season, and tear your Achilles on the second day of practice, it's got to be one of the most devastating things, and I can only imagine what that young man is going through. But I think he'll be fine. Dez still has some life in those legs, and I think he'll get an opportunity once he's healed up from this injury.
Well, he only signed a 1-year contract with the Saints, so it's probably going to be at least about an 8-month recovery for him with that torn Achilles. Alvin Kamara, Mark Ingram, Michael Thomas all paid a little homage to Dez Bryant in this past game by throwing up X's, the legendary touchdown celebration that he used to do. What do you think about them doing that?
That was cool. Obviously, they only spent 2 days with the guy, but I think his infectious personality kind of set in with those guys, and obviously they showed him, paid him homage, and when they scored touchdowns, and that was pretty awesome with their advantage point.
I want to talk a little bit about Dez some more, even though he's really not going to be playing this season. I just think it's interesting. A lot of people were kind of mad that he came because he is known to have kind of a big personality in the locker room with other players, with coaches, maybe not necessarily always agree with them. But do you think under Sean Payton's leadership and then also having Drew Brees there, they thought, look, it's not going to be a big deal when we sign him because they don't really let that type of stuff fly in their locker room? I
think that's true. I think you can kind of see to the history of the Saints and what they've been about since Sean Payton has been there, since Drew Brees has been there. I think in Dallas it's kind of, who's who at the time, and Dez, I think, had free reign. At certain points and at times it seems like Dallas doesn't have control over a lot of things on and off the field. So I think with that culture and putting those guys around him with all that leadership, he'll be pointing in the right direction.
Well, it definitely seems like he's already really started to gel with the other players in the locker room, and it's pretty amazing since he just kind of came on to the team. But now, since Dez Bryant will be out pretty much for the remainder of the season, they decided just yesterday to sign Brandon Marshall. Thoughts on Brandon Marshall coming in on to the Saints?
Brandon is no spring chicken, but I think he's proven himself in Seattle, caught some balls for them, did real last year. He'll give those guys maybe a third or fourth guy receiver, something on the outside, and kind of take the top off because he can still run. I saw it last year. He can definitely take the top off some defenses, but and give some help to Michael Thomas. So hopefully moving forward, they'll be able to give him some balls and get him active in the offense and kind of open up some other things for some of the other players.
I think so. And do you feel like that's what Sean Payton is looking to do when they added Brandon Marshall to the squad?
Yeah, give him a break. I think there's always advantages of getting somebody with a little senior leadership. Maybe he can kind of curtail that room a little bit. Some of those guys are still young. He can kind of mold those guys and kind of go off of what Sean Payton wants him to do and say, represent that wide receiver room and kind of get the message across of how they want to get things done.
Now, another new addition to the Saints on the defensive side, Eli Apple got his first pick in this past game. I think it took him maybe 14 games with the Giants before he ever got a pick. Have you liked what you have seen from Apple so far?
I have. I didn't like what I saw in New York. You know, a guy who plays very aggressive, almost to a point where it's kind of a reckless abandon. I think with this defense and the way, you know, it's coached up, he has to abide by the rules. He can't be out there on a one-man team and do certain things. You know, there are going to be certain defenses that put him in a situation where he can have an opportunity to get picks. I think that's what he's done so far, but hopefully, you know, that's just a stepping stone to things that he'll be able to do from in the future going down the road.
Even though the Saints, they've got a huge win, 51-14 over the Bengals, Sean Payton still was not pleased. He's kind of like Bill Belichick in that sense. He's never going to be pleased even if they probably win by 70. One thing he's not pleased with, the defense has kind of struggled all season. They started to mold more together, but they're 31st ranked in their pass defense. And then the thing he's really kind of pissed about, 28th ranked in their red zone defense. What do you think about their defense so far?
You know, they've given up quite a bit, you know, early part of the year. And like I said earlier, I'm just glad to see that they're starting fast early because they've been a team, you know, in the first half of the season, they've always played from behind. And it seems like everybody was holding their breath because they were hoping they can come back and get a victory in the end. I think now, you know, moving forward, you know, having that win under the belt this week when they kind of slap, you know, the Cincinnati Bengals around, it'll give them a little momentum moving forward, and maybe that defense will play a little better in the red zone. You know, in the red zone, there's always going to be certain plays that a lot of teams run. It's a copycat league. They roll out the quarterback to the short side of the field and kind of maybe throw something out of the backside or throw a guy coming in motion. But if they can read that early, hopefully it'll give them get those percentages down and give them advantage and bat some balls down and actually get some picks.
So you think it's a matter of being able to read plays earlier to be more effective in the red zone, or is there anything else?
Yeah, because in the red zone, majority of the people, like I said, it's a copycat league. Once you get down to the 15 below, I wouldn't even say 25 to the 15, a lot of people run the same plays. It's just a different team, and it's different points when they do it. But I think you know, to get more into being aggressive in the red zone, I think when you play in a zone, you allow people to run free. If you know, send some guys off the edge, let them play man free, and hopefully you can create some pressure and get a guy to throw a ball up and get an interception or two and make them kick a field goal instead of getting 6.
One thing that might affect the Saints a little bit more was Teron Armstead just has a shoulder injury this past week. How do you think that's going to affect them going forward in the rest of the season?
I don't know. You know, hopefully they'll have somebody in line to take his place. It's injuries are part of this game. You can't manage them. You can just hope they don't come at certain points in times. And obviously this is going into the latter part of the year, and it may hurt them a little bit, but hopefully they'll have somebody who can step in and be a viable backup and be a starter while he's out. So hopefully that thing will work out for them, and they'll keep this train moving forward.
One thing the Saints do have going for them is their offense has been absolutely incredible so far this season. Between Drew Brees, Alvin Kamara, Michael Thomas, Mark Ingram, I mean, it's absolutely insane. Right here, the Saints versus Bengals, 509 total yards for the Saints versus the Bengals for 284 yards. I mean, pretty much just says it itself in those stats right there.
Yeah, you know, turnovers are key in a matchup like that. Two high-powered offenses, people who love to move the ball in chunks down the field. When you see those turnovers in that column and it's not the Saints, you know you always have an advantage. You get more opportunities to get the ball in your hands. You get the opportunity to get the ball in your playmakers' hands. But what Kamara is doing, what Mark Ingram back from the suspension, what Michael Thomas is doing, you know, it is always been in the Swiss Army knife. You can't forget about that guy. He runs down on kickoffs and punts and does everything else for them. So that team is just clicking on all cylinders right now. I'm pretty excited to watch them.
Speaking on Michael Thomas, I do want to ask your opinion on him taking the phone out, kind of reenacting the Joe Horn celebration. What are your thoughts on that?
I like it, you know, because it's paying homage to Joe Horn. You know, Joe Horn is probably will go down as one of the Hall of Fame receivers in Saints history. Done some wonderful things for them, but you know, being a guy who has paid homage and pulled out the flip phone from like the early '90s, I think that was pretty awesome. It shows that he pays attention to the history of his ball club.
So the NFL does allow players to celebrate, but they can only use the ball as a prop. They can't bring something else out like a cellular device, a phone. So Michael Thomas did get fined $30,000 for that little gesture right there, for bringing the device out. And then because it was a mobile device, I don't even know if that phone probably even worked
No,
because
it
it was
probably
the classic flip phone, and no one even really has those these days. But do you think the NFL should fine players for that type of behavior?
I don't, but hear and say it's kind of it's up in the air. The NFL does a lot of things that I don't agree with. It's just the nature of the beast. Whenever there's these fines in place, they basically set it themselves on the go. There's never a set fine number, and they can change it anytime they want. And there's an appeal process. You're appealing to the person who sent out the fine. So how many times do you think they're going to overturn it to make themselves look bad? Probably not. I think the way they handle things sometimes it can be done a little bit different. But it's the NFL, and they're going to do what they want to do regardless.
I agree. The NFL is definitely going to do what they want to do regardless. All right, we have to take a quick break, but we are here at Scoreboards on 10655 Coursey Boulevard. They have specials every single day, TVs in every single corner, so you can watch any game you want to watch. If you want to watch football, basketball, you want to watch a sports show, anything you want to do, this is the place to be. So come visit us at Scoreboards, 10655 Coursey Boulevard. We've got to take a really quick break, but we will be right back.
Look, your dad gave me his baby to go pick up your brother from the airport.
Oh, honey, just take Mom's car. She just had navigation installed.
I totally got this. We were just there.
Hey, isn't that...
Yep. I'll program the airport in, just in case.
You don't need a new car to have new technology. Mike's Audio, conveniently located on Airline Highway near the corner of Bluebonnet.
Are you ready for this year's formal events? Weddings, homecoming, Mardi Gras, prom, pageants. Debbie's Bridal is having an inventory blowout sale. Don't be left out. Prices range from 20% off to 80% off. Happening now. Debbie's Bridal, Burnside in Gonzales.
No one can stop me when I taste the feeling. Nothing could ever bring me down. Nothing could ever bring me down. Taste the feeling.
Bolello's Furniture and Appliances, your dependable independent. Depend on us for service, for selection, for price. Get huge Whirlpool savings. Shop now and save on Whirlpool appliances throughout the store. Plus, experience our price match guarantee and ask about special financing. You can depend on the know-how of people who live appliances every day. Bolello's Furniture and Appliances, your dependable independent with nationwide buying power.
Welcome back to Sports Update with Kate. I am your host, Kate Adams, and we have former LSU running back, MVP, 2003 national champion, Steeler. And tell me a little bit, Justin Vincent's here with us. And Justin, tell me a little bit about what you're up to these days.
Well, I moved over to the Tiger Athletic Foundation after spending 5 years at football as the Associate Director of Player Personnel and Director of Player Engagement. Right now I'm a development officer at the Tiger Athletic Foundation. Basically, I go out and cultivate relationships with a lot of people that I typically wouldn't meet on a normal basis. Ask them basically what is their passion, what draws them to LSU, and see if they want to help out any type of way philanthropically to help our student athletes and better Louisiana State University.
That's awesome. I mean, how cool is it that you get to go back and work at your alma mater?
It is cool. To the point where it's kind of surreal sometimes. I feel like I'm really not working. I'm just here doing something and trying to build this place and leave it better than the way I left it.
Well, I definitely think you are making a major impact over there. Okay, let's talk a little bit more about Saints. I know you're a former Steeler, but got to talk about the Saints since we are in Louisiana. The Saints are playing the Eagles this coming up weekend at home. Now, the Eagles are defending Super Bowl champions. they've had a kind of a rocky start to the season, but they're still doing pretty well. How do you think that matchup is going to go?
I don't know. They just lost to the Cowboys the other night, so I don't know. And then we all know the Cowboys are struggling. But, the Eagles, they're always up for their game. Fletcher Cox and, Michael Jenkins in that offense and Carson Wentz. I mean, they're doing a great job. They're moving the ball effectively. They lost Raji, the running back, early on in the season. Things went kind of astray for them. They were having struggles moving the ball. But I think, coming into the Dome is going to be rocking, after what happened this past weekend. And, the Saints are trending up. I think they're going to have a hard time getting some things done. I predict the Saints will win heavily against those guys.
Do you have a score prediction for that game?
I typically don't, but I'm going to say at least 2 to 3 touchdowns. I'm going to say probably 2.5. They'll get it done.
I think that Vegas has them winning by a touchdown or something like that. But we'll see. I'm hoping that the Saints get a win as well. All right, something interesting about this upcoming weekend's game is the Saints are going to be wearing their all-white uniforms. And the reason being is because Sean Payton made a bet with head coach Doug Peterson for the Eagles when they were playing in a golf tournament this past summer that whoever wins that tournament gets to wear home uniforms. So the Eagles are going to be sporting their green home uniforms and the Saints the white. Any thoughts on that?
That is cool, to see that there's still some kind of camaraderie amongst coaches. It's not always button heads and being all about the game, but having a little flair in it and showing their personalities. I think it's pretty cool that they agreed to do something like that.
Look, and the fans are really big supporters of those uniforms too. They love the all white. They think they're kind of old school. So look, probably not a big deal that they're changing uniforms. Does changing a uniform do anything mentally for a player?
Like Deion Sanders always said back in the day, you look good, you feel good, you play good. So it's always been, I guess, one of those things when you see somebody with a new helmet, a new jersey, it kind of gives the players, when they see it, hanging in a locker, a little bit more juice heading into the game. And like I said, you look good, you play good. So I think those players will get a kick out of it.
I think that makes sense. It's like when I get dressed up to go out and I feel good about myself, I'm more confident, and you go out and you have a good day, so probably same thing when it comes to uniforms. Another thing I want to talk about, still on the subject of Sean Payton, when they were in Cincinnati, there was an alarm going off, and it wouldn't stop going off. And Payton was trying to talk to the team, and you know what? He just ripped the alarm out of the wall. I mean, he's going to get fined some major money. I think it may be illegal. He probably wasn't supposed to do it.
He wasn't supposed to do it, yeah. But, I mean, at the time, we all knew nothing was on fire. We don't know if somebody set it off on purpose. Things like that happen. I mean, I remember back in the day when I was playing at LSU, we'd be going to, out of town playing a game, and it happened when I was in Pittsburgh too. The alarm would be going off in the hotel like at 3 o'clock in the morning. There is no fire. Somebody went and set the alarm or pulled it, and ran out of the building. But, I get it, but we do know it's illegal to tamper with, emergency equipment. So, yeah, he'll probably get reprimanded, but he'll be fine.
Yeah, I was watching an interview with him, and all he said was, look, the thing was going off. I just couldn't listen to it anymore, and I had to get the message across that I was trying to get to my team. So, look, you got to do what you got to do, and they came out with the win. So I guess what he decided ended up being successful. All right, I want to switch gears a little bit. I want to talk about LSU football. So let's talk some LSU Arkansas. A lot of fans are really mad about the slide that Nick Brossette did in the very ending of the game. You're a running back. Nick Brossette at the interviews yesterday, he said, look, I simply did what the coaches told me to do. He said, I just did what I was asked.
Yeah.
And what do you think? I mean, if the coach told you to slide, but maybe there was an opening, you could make a possible touchdown, what would you have done in that type of situation?
I mean, to be honest with you, I probably would have scored, but at the same time, I'm trying to listen to see what my coaches are saying. It's one of those things that, you make a lot of people mad when it comes to, the gamblers in Vegas, but, the slide, it happens. People are upset, but a dub is a dub. I'm going to take it any way I can get it. So, I mean, people can be upset, but a win is a win.
I definitely think a win is a win, but a lot of LSU fans don't agree with that concept. They're not cool with the win as a win. And the other thing about the slide was in Vegas, I think they just needed 6 more points, and all the people that bet on the game would have won all their money. So a lot of people in Vegas and people who were betting on the game were pretty pissed about that. I mean, Does it even matter? Did the players even think about that?
No, the players don't think about that because obviously they can't bet and there's any money on the line. But, you know, one thing I've learned, you know, being on the fan side of things now is that people are always, you know, especially LSU fans, will always be upset. You know, I do the post-game radio show and folks call in all the time. We could beat somebody handily. We beat Southeastern 31-0, and people call in and are mad because we didn't win the way they thought we should have won. So things are always going to be, you know, a certain way, and people going to feel how they want to feel. But, you know, I think, you know, the slide, I wouldn't have did it personally. I'd have scored a touchdown. You know, they still would have had a tough time trying to get the ball back downfield in time. But yeah, sometimes you got to do what the coaches tell you to do, especially in those situations. Plus, the game was over.
Well, he didn't get the touchdown in the end, so they look 24 that they won by. But I don't know. Nick Brossette is having an incredible season so far. He is on course for 1,000 yards. I think he's at 792 yards so far this season. 2 more games left in the regular season. Do you think he can get it?
With a strong push and kind of a stellar performance, I think in one of those games, he doesn't necessarily have to be stellar in both of those. He'll put himself in position to be close, and if he doesn't get in the regular season, I predict that he'll probably get it in the bowl season.
I know that he definitely wants to get it because there's so many legendary LSU players. Now, are you a 1,000-yard rusher for LSU? So guys like you, guys like Geis, Fournette, those are other guys that he will be on the record with if he's able to surpass that. And look, he has stayed at LSU even when Geis and Fournette were there. He stuck behind and he waited his turn. What do you think that says about him waiting his turn as a player?
You know, it speaks volumes for that kid. I mean, somebody who could have been upset, could have left, could have packed his bags. You know, he swallowed his pride and he put the team first. And I can't do anything but commend him. You know, I was on staff and helped recruit Nick. I know his family really well. You know, his mom and his brother Mendel, unfortunately, who passed away, had a great relationship with them. And I know he'd be so proud of his brother right now because he's actually being the young man that, you know, we all hoped he would be.
And look, I agree with that statement. He actually even brought up his brother in the interview yesterday. He talked about, because Geis has been a really big supporter of Nick Brossette, and he said since Geis had lost his father, and then when Brossette lost his brother, that was something that they were able to bond on. And having someone like an angel watch over you, that's pretty cool. And look, Nick Brossette's one of the most genuine guys I think that I've ever met. I mean, every time we interview him every week, such a nice guy, so humble, and literally works for everything that he's got so far this season. So I'm really proud of him. All right, we do have to take a quick break. They just brought up some wonderful corn chowder for us. I think it's corn chowder, or a bisque maybe, but shrimp corn soup. So you've got to come out here, try this really good food. They've got all types of good tailgate food. They've got TVs in every corner. This is a great place to come watch the game, come watch the Saints games here, the LSU games. We have to take a quick break, but we are going to be right back. Stay with us.
Are you ready for this year's formal events? Weddings, homecoming, Mardi Gras, prom, pageants. Debbie's Bridal is having an inventory blowout sale. Don't be left out. Prices range from 20% off to 80% off. Happening now. Debbie's Bridal, Burnside in Gonzales.
No one can stop me when I taste the feeling. Nothing could ever bring me down. Nothing could ever bring me down. Taste the feeling.
Bellello's Furniture and Appliances, your dependable independent. Depend on us for service, for selection, for price. Get huge Whirlpool savings. Shop now and save on Whirlpool appliances throughout the store. Plus, experience our price match guarantee and ask about special financing. You can depend on the know-how of people who live appliances every day. Bellello's Furniture and Appliances, your dependable independent with nationwide buying power.
Look, your dad gave me his baby to go pick up your brother from the airport.
Oh, honey, just take Mom's car. She just had navigation installed.
I totally got this. We were just there.
Hey, isn't that...
Yep. I programmed the airport in, just in case.
You don't need a new car to have new technology. Mike's Audio, conveniently located on Airline Highway near the corner of Bluebonnet.
Welcome back to Sports Update with Kate. I'm your host, Kate Adams. We've got former LSU running back, 2003 National Championship MVP Justin Vincent, also former Steeler. Thank you for being here again, Justin. I really appreciate it. So Justin and I were just talking a lot about Nick Brossette. One thing I heard about Nick was he was either receiving a lot of hate mail and that he, because of the Vegas odds, and that somebody probably sent him a lot of cash to lose the game. Do you believe any of those conspiracy theories?
No, like I said, people are always going to feel how they want to feel about certain things, and you can't change anybody's perspective on something. You know, it's one thing I've kind of learned. And if people think that that young man was out there putting something on the line for Vegas or he got paid, that's foolishness. That is straight foolishness.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree. And like I was telling you off air, I've had many interactions with Nick Brossette. I could never see him doing anything like that. He's just a genuine guy. And I think he's the type of guy that, look, the coach tells you to do something, he's going to slide. He's going to do what the coach told him to do. Look, apparently they were trying to milk the clock. So Arkansas didn't get the ball back and score in the end. Did you agree with that play call?
I did, but like I said, obviously I would have scored, but, obviously I'm not a head football coach at Louisiana State University either. So, so Arkansas is known for being a 50-50 team. When I say 50-50, they throw a lot of 50-50 jump balls. And you want to give an opportunity for a team like that to throw up a ball late in the game, get a pass interference call, even if they catch it, move the ball down the field and just keep on going like that and actually end up getting some points on the board. So I think it was the right call. Everybody's going to be upset. Everybody has an opinion about it. But, like I will always say, a win is a win. I don't care how you get it, because there's not a person in the sound of my voice that thought LSU would be where they're at right now before the season started. So I think we should be happy moving into this week and play Rice, take care of Rice and have an opportunity to finish the season strong at Texas A&M. So that should be put to rest.
Yeah, a lot of people just aren't happy about the win. That's something about some of the LSU fans. It's like we either got to win by just so much and completely dominate teams, or they're not happy. And a lot of people, like you said, some people thought we might only win 6 games going into the season. Yeah. Look, we're 9-2. We're doing good so far. We have a chance to be 10-2. Or I think we're 8-2 actually, but we have a chance to be 10-2. We have a chance to go to a really good bowl game, maybe even a college football playoff. We're number 7 right now. Are there any hopes at all?
Yeah, there's some teams that got to play each other. So hopefully, we take care of business, and those other teams who have an opportunity to knock some people out of certain spots, they take care of their business too, because we still have a lot to play for. There's a lot to play for and a lot to be, happy about the way this team has performed, overperformed in a lot of folks' eyes. I've seen many of people who I ran into before the season who told me that we wouldn't be amount to anything. And then when I see him again, I kind of have a little smirk, and I'm looking at him. I was like, well, how do you feel today? So, people change their mind. People believe what they want to believe. But, I watched that team practice and run throughout the summer. I spent a lot of time in that building. I still do to this day. They're doing a great job, and they rallied those young men around to fight against the odds and do some really good things for this ball club and put LSU in a position to be in the New Year's Day Bowl.
Like you said, you're around the players a lot, and you've been with LSU for several years and been around different teams, different atmospheres, that sort of thing. One thing that kind of stuck out to me this particular season about this team is it seems like this team has a particular closeness about them, a brotherhood, more so than previous years. Do you feel that way?
Yeah, there's not a lot of me guys out there, which is a good thing when you have a young team like this. A lot of guys who are willing to fight for each other and play for the guy next to them. Those are things that, help build character in teams, help build a strong backbone for teams moving forward. When their back's against the wall and they're put in tough situations, they give them an opportunity to fight, come out fighting strong. So, I'm particularly proud of this team and the way they've handled things. With Grant Delpit and Devin White, their leadership, and Nick's leadership. it's amazing to see how those guys are responding to adversity and fighting a good fight.
Now, a lot of fans are upset because they feel like ever since LSU played Georgia, they haven't really seen the offense meld the way they did when they played Georgia. They feel like the offense kind of has pedaled back a little bit. Do you feel that way?
No, being a former player, you're going to sputter at times, and things aren't going to go as way as the way you think. Alabama, for when we played them, number 92, it's going to be a first-round draft pick. He basically single-handedly disrupted everything we try to do offensively. It wasn't that Nick did anything differently. It wasn't that Steve did anything differently. We went about our business, but it was just tough to move the ball down the field. And we can only do what our players allow us to do. Them getting it open, I think Justin Jefferson probably is our best route runner to this point being. That's why you see him getting a lot of balls, and Joe's looking at him more. But those other young guys, Jamar Chase, Savon Sullivan, Derek Dillon, they're doing a really good job as well. And as long as the season keeps moving forward and the games get under the belt, you'll see a lot more action, I think, out of this offense.
Justin Jefferson and Joe Burrow really seem like they've got an incredible connection going so far this season. What do you think it is about those two guys?
Oh, spending time. I think Joe, when he came in during the spring and the summer, he earned those guys' trust, running with them, trying to be the first in everything he's done, earned their respect. Nothing was given to Joe, and I think the guys on the outside, they saw that this guy was willing to come in here and work and participate and be one of them. And I think just in the summertime, in those 7-on-7 drills, they'll spend a lot of time together watching film. You build a camaraderie. You're around each other. You sweat together. You bleed together. And, you eat together. You live in the same spot. So, that time spent does more wonders than, those one-on-one times when you're throwing the ball. But I think just that connection with those two guys, he knows where Justin's going to be. And Justin knows where the ball particularly is going to be, so I think that's giving him a leg up, and that's why you're seeing a lot more balls being thrown his way.
Justin Jefferson definitely doing an incredible job so far this season, really showing his skills out there on the field. But look, he's not the first Jefferson to be here at LSU. His brother Jordan played for the Tigers. How cool is it and important? Does it make a difference to have a brother or somebody like that play for your school?
Yeah, he's a third generation, actually. It was Jordan first, then Ricky. When I was on staff, Ricky was there, now it's Justin. So, to have two of your brothers, and they used to always say, which is pretty funny to me and awesome at the same time, is that they used to always say, the better out of the bunch is still yet to come. He's still coming down the pipeline. And we watched him play in high school, and you can just see it immediately from day one at Destrehan, that the things that he was able to do on the football field and lead his team to multiple victories. He's an outstanding young man. He's very quiet. And it's kind of funny sometimes because a lot of your players who have always been kind of in the forefront of their team have always been the ones who talk the most and are very spontaneous personality and very outspoken. He is total polar opposite. Doesn't talk. He's very quiet. Only speaks if you speak to him. But he's a good young man, and he's raised by two great parents, and I think that's why we see the guy that we see today.
He is a quiet guy. Every time we go to the interviews, he just kind of stands there, waits for you to ask the question. He doesn't really show too much personality, but I can tell that he still is exuding confidence from him. Where do you think that confidence comes from? Just having a family, a football family?
That too, and then, at the same time, knowing that you're supposed to be here. Like, having that attitude is that, I'm supposed to be here. I can do all the things that I wished and hoped and dreamed I can do. And once you get out there and get your feet wet, I mean, the confidence just kind of exudes your body. It spreads and it's infectious. So I think that's what you see from that young man right now.
I think we are definitely seeing that. We have to take a really quick break. Look, we've got some shrimp and corn biscuits, really, really yummy. It's great for a cold day like today. We finally got some cold weather. So come out and join us. Come get some shrimp and corn biscuits. Come watch your favorite games on all the TVs around here. They've got great music playing in the background. This is just a really fun spot to come out, watch the games, and just have a good time. We are here at Scoreboards, 10655 Horsey Boulevard. We've got to take a quick break, but come see us. We'll be right back.
No one can stop me when I taste the feeling. Nothing could ever bring me down. Nothing could ever taste the feeling.
Bolello's Furniture and Appliances, your dependable independent. Depend on us for service, for selection, for price. Get huge Whirlpool savings. Shop now and save on Whirlpool appliances throughout the store. Plus, experience our price match guarantee and ask about special financing. You can depend on the know-how of people who live appliances every day. Bolello's Furniture and Appliances, your dependable independent with nationwide buying power.
Look, your dad gave me his baby to go pick up your brother from the airport.
Oh, honey, just take Mom's car. She just had navigation installed.
I totally got this. We were just there.
Hey, isn't that...
Yep. I'll program the airport in, just in case.
You don't need a new car to have new technology. Mike's Audio, conveniently located on Airline Highway near the corner of Bluebonnet.
Are you ready for this year's formal events? Weddings, homecoming, Mardi Gras, prom, pageants. Debbie's Bridal is having an inventory blowout sale. Don't be left out. Prices range from 20% off to 80% off. Happening now. Debbie's Bridal, Burnside in Gonzales.
Welcome back to Sports Update with Kate. I am your host, Kate Adams. We have former LSU running back and Steeler MVP 2003 national champion, Justin Vincent. I just kind of had to put it all together because, look, so many great accolades that you have, and so we're really happy to have you here. Justin was just munching on some of this really good shrimp and corn bisque. You've got to come out here and try it. On a cold day like today, there is nothing better than a nice warm bowl of soup, right?
Yeah, it's pretty good. You definitely need to come out and try it.
You got to come out and try it. All right, we were just talking some LSU football. I want to talk a little bit more LSU football. We talked a lot about Nick Brossette, but another guy that I want to touch on is Clyde Edwards-Helaire. What have you seen from him so far this season that you're really liking?
He's a tough runner. He was a pleasant surprise to a lot of people, but I saw it, in high school. He was a running back at Catholic after Geis. Great running back. He's a little sawed off. He's a short guy. His legs are pretty big. He runs very, very hard. Always falls forward when he's running the ball. It gives him a tremendous leg up, and he's also not as tall, and he can hide behind the line as well. So he's definitely a terrific kid as well. Works very hard. Has earned every right to get as many carries as possible, and he's definitely helping his team moving forward.
He's really proven himself so far this season. So it's interesting how you said he's a smaller guy. When you're small like that, is it easier to kind of get in between players or make quicker routes?
It is. You can hide a little bit. They can't see you, especially at the running back position. When you're outside on the island, if you're a receiver and you're a shorter guy, they can still see you. But him, he can get down there and put his foot in the ground and change direction very well. He does an amazing thing when he gets the football in his hand. I like the way he's running the ball so far for the Tigers.
Yeah, I like the way he's running so far, too. Okay, LSU plays Rice this weekend. I think Rice has only won one game this season. Do they have much of a challenge up against them playing Rice?
The games always have to be played. I've always been very optimistic, and anything can be done at any given time. Games like these for a university like Rice and a football team like Rice, they get up for these ball games. This is their Super Bowl. This is their bowl game. So you're going to see them do all kind of trick plays. There's going to be that one team out there that tries to ruin a team like ours season by throwing some wrinkles in there and giving us a challenge. But I think if these guys go out here and play sound offensively and defensively, they can walk away with this thing pretty well.
Defensively, LSU has just been absolutely incredible. Devin White being a huge leader on the team. Talk about what you've seen from Devin White so far this season.
He's a great kid. I'll happen to be on staff whenever we're recruiting that young man as well. He is, as country as you want to be. I can say that because I grew up on a farm in Lake Charles. So, but he is just the nicest young man. Is always willing to help, and you can tell sometimes when you meet people if they like football or if they love football. He is in love with football, and it shows at every corner for him. Takes pride in watching film, takes pride in being first, takes pride in being a leader for that ball club. So there's no surprise to me that this young man is doing some wonderful things for LSU right now.
He definitely is a leader for his team. I have to ask, since we are on the topic of Devin White, the huge topic earlier in the season before the Bama game was that targeting call. Do you have any thoughts on the targeting call that was called against him, making him miss that first half of Bama?
Yeah, it was terrible. You know, I'm not afraid to speak, and I was very vocal about it on Twitter. I just, you know, you hate to see, you know, a young man like that who does things the right way all the time. If you watch it, it wasn't malicious at all. He put his hands out. He hit him with his hands first. Didn't leave his feet. If you're going by the letter of the law, by the book, it wasn't. And so and later on that day, a kid from another school up the street did the same thing to a Tennessee quarterback. Well, actually, not the same thing. He actually left his feet, tucked his head, hit him under the chin. Not only did they not call a penalty, they didn't even throw him out of the game. So I would hate to see that there's any kind of biasness or anything going around. I don't believe in that stuff. I really don't, and I hope it's not true. But, you know, if you go on by what you see, you know, statistically, the penalties being given and the penalties being appealed or overturned, sometimes it makes your brain wonder a little bit. But, you know, I'm glad that, you know, Devin was able to come back in the second half. You wish that wouldn't have happened. I wish there had been some more of an appeal process, but, you know, that's the crazy part about it is I think that we'll have to review this rule this coming year for next year because it not only affected a ball club like ours, it affected many schools down the road because you know it's malicious or not.
Yeah,
the intent.
Exactly. A lot of LSU fans were really riled up about that. They went as far as putting billboards in Birmingham, Alabama, right next to the SEC offices. They had a plane fly over the Georgia-Florida game with hashtag Free Devin White. I mean, did you agree with all the craziness that the LSU fans were
I did
doing?
because at the end of the day, when you watch it, there's not a person watch that clip can say that it was malicious by any means. He hit with his hands, he pushed him. And if you watch the whole play in its entirety, you see the quarterback get up, and he was actually staying in the game. But then the referee came over to him and made him get out. So made him get out. He got up, everything was fine. So he didn't hit him in the head. He didn't do all those things. So those things make you wonder. But I'm glad that our fans went all out with the billboards and whatnot and stood up for that young man because he's one of the ones that does it right all the time.
Devin White really did handle that situation well. Look, he stayed quiet pretty much throughout that whole process. It wasn't until really a couple weeks after that, I think he posted something on Instagram. Look, thank you for all the support. But man, like, what does that mean to a player having fans rally behind you like that?
It's awesome. That shows you the support for this university has for this ball club and the community. That's what makes this place so special. And that's why it attracts so many people to come here on a game day to see the fan involvement, you know, for Tiger Stadium. You know, obviously we didn't get the victory that we wanted against Alabama, but in my 35 years of living, in my 17 plus years of being around Louisiana State University, I've never seen that atmosphere like that in my entire life. That was probably one of the most fun, amazing, you know, former player atmosphere. I've never seen that many guys, former Tigers, back in the stadium at one time. They did everything to help us get a leg up, but obviously we couldn't get it done. But nothing was short of special for that stadium that day.
That stadium was really special. It was amazing that all of those guys, former players, like you said, came out. Steve Gleason was there. They brought him out on the field. I mean, LSU just has such a legacy of players, and you being one of them. I mean, you were at that game. Do you get to catch up with old buddies and stuff when that happens?
I was standing out on the field. You know, you see Travis Daniels, Jamarcus Russell, Leonard was there, Darius was there, Odell showed up. I mean, you know, the old players, George Lang, Lance Smith. I mean, all these guys that played before I played, and especially before the guys who just left played. But just having that legacy and that tradition of players come back and showing their passion and support for their team, that was pretty amazing.
What do you think it means to those current players playing?
They show what it means to be an LSU Tiger. It's never a 3 or 4 year decision. It's a lifetime decision. This thing hangs with you for the rest of your life. That decision that you make sitting on, you know, national television, if you're playing on a normal All-American game, or you're sitting in your high school's cafeteria or gym, and you're saying, I'm going to spend the next 3 to 4 years at a certain university. It's not 3 to 4 years. It's a lifetime decision. And you could tell in the atmosphere and with people that came back at the Alabama game.
LSU definitely has a lot of legendary players, and there were a lot of recruits at that big game. Now, a lot of them who may have been between possibly LSU, Bama. I mean, how big of a kind of hurt do you think that put on LSU not winning that game for recruits coming up?
I don't think it hurt. You know, if I'm one of the top players in the country, you know, I want to be a part of the team that takes down the Goliath. Like, I would love to come and be a part of LSU knowing that we're going to take them down. I would love to build something on that, like Cordell Thomas does, a kid that's local from Southern Lab here in Baton Rouge. He's trying to recruit and make people come play with him at LSU so they can be the ones to knock them off the top of the mountain. So I think, you know, you can look at it in two different ways. Either you want to come and just be another number and keep this thing going, or you want to be a part of the team who puts a stop in history for that team down the road.
Do you think as long as Nick Saban is coaching Alabama that we're going to have a chance to beat him?
Oh, of course. I mean, there's always plenty of opportunities. Nothing is ever set in stone. The game has to be played. I think with Nick, this team right here, it's not his most talented team. This is probably this is the most talented quarterback he's ever had in his time at Alabama. So, you know, having that guy there has given him a lot more opportunities to do a lot more things. But I think that secondary for Bama isn't as good. That front seven, they can compete with some of the more historic teams in Alabama history. But, you know, if you can stop them a little bit and take some shots, I think a lot of teams have done that but weren't able to capitalize. You know, and we weren't able to do that as well. So I think in due time we'll have an opportunity to knock them off.
A lot of fans were or have been unhappy with Steve Ensminger's play calling, especially after the Georgia game. I mean, look, do you have an issue with his play calling? Do you think he needs to be doing things differently than he already is?
No, I don't think he needs to do anything differently. And I'm not being biased by any means. You know, Steve actually is one of my favorite people. If I felt like he was doing something that, you know, thinks he needs to do something different, I would definitely, you know, voice my opinion. Steve has done an amazing job. You know, we could have been stuck with, you know, somebody who we didn't want, somebody who would have came here and done really well and took off for another job, and we turned into a revolving door, like Tennessee. Tennessee's still recovering. I think Jeremy Pruitt's going to do a good job, but Steve Ensminger is somebody, and Coach O is somebody who wants to be here. They're from Louisiana. They want to be a part of this thing. We're not getting any outsiders that are looking to win some ball games and be looking for the next thing, smoking to get out of here. You know, there's always going to be gripe about not doing this and that and other. And like I said earlier to you, we beat Southeastern 31-0, and people called in the radio show and were livid, like we lost 100-0. You know, and that right then and there, it proved to me that there's nothing that LSU can do except by beat people by 100 points every single game and go undefeated for everybody to be happy.
Can you even describe the emotions when you won by that much? I mean, goodness gracious.
You know, it's insane sometimes to think about it, but I fully accept, you know, people being and feeling that way. I was a part of a team that spoiled everybody. I was a part of a team that set the legacy with Matt Malk and Marquise Hill, God rest his soul, and Marcus Spears, and, you know, LaRon Landry and all these great players, Andrew Whitworth, who's still playing National Football League, who kind of gave people a taste of the good life. And then the team after I left in 2007 with Matt Flynn and Richard Dixon and Richard Murphy and Chevis Jackson and Tyson and everybody, they did it again. So, you know, people think that this can happen all the time, and this league is expanded to 14 teams, and you're recruiting all the same people, especially us, A&M, and Alabama and Auburn. Basically, we play in the same backyard. We play in the same pool. We're all after the same kids. So it's tough. So, you know, I invite the challenge, and, you know, I love the critics, but, you know, sometimes people need to pump the brakes a little bit and give these guys a fighting chance.
I mean, this team has already beaten 6 top 25 ranked opponents so far this season. They only have 2 losses. I mean, what do you think that says about them?
It says that, you know, anything can be done, you know, with hard work and determination. You know, and like I said, there's not a person in the sound of my voice right now that thought LSU would be where they're at right now. No, the people that predicted us to win 4 or 5 games, win 6 games, 7 at the most, definitely not beat the teams that we've beaten. You know, I thought Georgia would be kind of a toss-up. I thought Florida's a toss-up because that game is in Gainesville, and that's a tough place, a tough atmosphere. But beating Miami, a neutral site, beating Georgia, beating Auburn in that crazy place to play in. They just, they kind of shocked the world a little bit, and I think it's still taking some time for people to swallow that and adjust that this isn't the team who you predicted this team to be. So, and I just love the way, Coach O is approaching things, and one team, one heartbeat, and, I'm proud to be an LSU Tiger.
One team, one heartbeat is a great motto. It's just such a good team mentality, and I believe it. I really believe in the one team, one heartbeat, and he's got all kinds of little quirky things that he does. Tell the Truth Monday. I can't remember what each day is, but do you agree with the style coaching that he has shown?
He reminds me a lot of Mike Tomlin. My rookie year in Pittsburgh is Mike Tomlin's rookie year, and he basically says the same thing. It's Tell the Truth Monday, and then you get Tuesday, mandatory off day, you go to work on Wednesday, but Coach O's adapted that NFL style of practice and communication with his players. He tries to treat the young men as an adult until proven otherwise, but gives them an opportunity to earn respect and earn free time. He throws bones out there every now and then. Sometimes he says he's going to show up to practice, especially during camp. He'll shock him and take him to the movies or take him out to eat. So there's always that fun aspect, and I think sometimes you have to do that to build camaraderie and get those guys playing on the same plane and getting everybody thinking the same way. I think he's doing an outstanding job.
Do you see Coach O as very much a player's coach?
He definitely is. To a certain extent, I think that term is very overused. But if you want to kind of define what that is, I think he would definitely be at the top of the definition of that.
Did you play under Saban, right?
I did. I played 2 years for Nick, and I played 2 years for Les Miles.
Would you say Saban is a quote-unquote player's coach, even though you don't like that terminology?
No, he isn't. He is. It's kind of a tough deal. He's very stern. He's going to say what he wants to say. He doesn't, he's the type of a guy, if you have fear of getting ripped or getting yelled at, he's Alabama or being part of his staff and somewhere you want to be. I think when you're a head coach, you got to be a certain way all the time. There should never be any gray areas. There should be black and white, and I think that's his approach, and that's Coach O's approach as well. You always have to be firm with these kids because every year they're getting smarter and smarter, and they're trying to get over in certain things, and I think whenever you approach them, especially when you're recruiting them and you talk to them like that in front of their family, their parents will feel more comfortable letting those kids come to play for you at the university. So, I think you have to be a certain way all the time.
I really like the way Coach O is. It seems like he's even a different coach this year than he was last year. When he first got that coaching position, I think he was really, really excited just to be the head coach of LSU. He's a Louisiana guy. He became the head coach. But this year, he's definitely taking everything more seriously. He knows that his job was kind of on the line and that he had to prove himself. Do you feel like he's proved himself pretty much so far this season?
There's no such thing as a hot seat with this man anymore. He's proven himself. He's exceeded expectations. People are always going to be, we should have got this guy, we should have went after this guy, but they don't realize that comes with a lot of baggage as well. Because like I said, you could get somebody who is a quote-unquote sexy pick, but then they're going to come here and do well, and they go exit stage left, and you'll be starting it all over again trying to find the next great one. Why not take a guy who's here that has proven himself and probably should have got some jobs from other teams down the road that really wants to be here, give him a shot. And it's working out. You get somebody who can walk into these high schools, especially in this state, and the coaches know who he is. He's not an outsider. He's from down the bayou. So I think Coach O being the head coach of LSU, I wouldn't want to have it any other way, and I couldn't envision anybody else being that way either.
I really couldn't. I love the motto, one team, one heartbeat. Look, we have to take a quick break. We are here at Scoreboard 10655 Coursey Boulevard. We've got some great food. There's TVs everywhere. Come out here and join us. We are going to be right back.
Bellows Furniture and Appliances, your dependable independent. Depend on us for service, for selection, for price. Get huge Whirlpool savings. Shop now and save on Whirlpool appliances throughout the store. Plus, experience our price match guarantee and ask about special financing. You can depend on the know-how of people who live appliances every day. Bellows Furniture and Appliances, your dependable independent with nationwide buying power.
Look, your dad gave me his baby to go pick up your brother from the airport.
Oh, honey, just take Mom's car. She just had navigation installed.
I totally got this. We were just there.
Hey, isn't that...
Yep. The program the airport in, just in case.
You don't need a new car to have new technology. Mike's Audio, conveniently located on Airline Highway near the corner of Bluebonnet.
Are you ready for this year's formal events? Weddings, homecoming, Mardi Gras, prom, pageants. Debbie's Bridal is having an inventory blowout sale. Don't be left out. Prices range from 20% off to 80% off. Happening now. Debbie's Bridal, Burnside in Gonzales.
No one can stop me when I taste the feeling. Nothing could ever bring me down. Nothing could ever bring me down. Taste the feeling.
Welcome back to Sports Update with Kate. I am your host, Kate Adams. We've got Justin Vincent here with us. Look, they just brought up some delicious chicken Alfredo fettuccine. This stuff is really, really good. Let me tell you, I've had it a few times. I'm not going to eat it right here on camera, but I am going to eat it as soon as I get done with this show. You've got to come out here and try the chicken Alfredo. Try the shrimp and corn bisque. They've got a ton of other menu items like nachos, muffaladas, burgers. I mean, all the good, yummy tailgate food that you could want. TVs everywhere, so come out here and join us. Okay, we don't have that much time left, Justin, but one thing that I did want to ask, I wanted to ask you about who was the team to beat when you were at LSU, because for us right now, it's Alabama, but when I talk to Jacob Hester or Matt Flynn, they always say Florida. Do you remember the team to beat when you were at LSU?
It was always Florida. You know, when I was in school, I never lost to Alabama. I never lost to Ole Miss. I never lost to Mississippi State. Lost to Auburn on a technical defect. They called offensive pass interference on early deuce set, and it probably should never happen. But yeah, we ended up losing to them when they were such a great team, and they actually went undefeated that year and won the SEC championship. But yeah, Florida has always kind of been that nemesis. You know, back in '03 when we won, they beat us at home, I think by like 6 or 8. That was our only loss that year after going on to win a national title. But yeah, Florida, I'd have to agree with those young men that they were always the ones that gave us a tough challenge.
And unfortunately, the Tigers could not get the win against Florida this year. They should have. I really, truly believe deep down in my heart that they should have got that win. But look, it happens that way sometimes. Maybe Tim Tebow, he did say in an inspirational speech to the team before, so maybe it really inspired that Florida team, and that's why they were able to beat us. But look, we actually are running out of time. We've only got about a minute left here. So I just want to thank you so much, Justin. I do want to ask your score prediction, though, for LSU Rice.
Like I said, I typically never do score prediction, but I'll say we'll beat them by 3 touchdowns.
3 touchdowns, all right. Maybe 100?
I mean, I think that's the only way people will be satisfied, but yeah.
This is the only way these LSU fans are going to be satisfied is we score 100. No, I'm just kidding, but no, let's hope the LSU Tigers get the win this Saturday, the last home game in Tiger Stadium. Look, thank you so much, guys, for joining us. Thank you, Justin Vincent, for coming out here, spending time with me, talking some LSU football, reminiscing on your former college football days. I want to say thank you to my producer, Caleb St. Germain. Thank you, Alan Traylor, Marty Campbell. Look, everybody, please come out and check out Scoreboards. This place is amazing. I'm not kidding you. Chicken Alfredo fettuccine. You got to try it. It's some of the best fettuccine I think I've ever had. TVs everywhere, so much to do. Come out here, watch the Saints, watch the Tigers, and watch some fun, cool sports show. We'll see you next week.